Keiji Shinogi. I really wanted to have him near the end due to how much of a main character he is, but you guys showed interest in a Keiji analysis, so here it is. He's the self-proclaimed friendly policeman, but as this game has shown us time and time again, things aren't always what they seem. What could he be hiding behind closed doors? And is he really as trustworthy as he seems? Well, let's find out. This one's going to be a bit different from the other ones though. Instead of analyzing the character as they progress through the story, I'm going to focus more on his relationships and how they've affected his character. Coming from a background of policing and detective work, Keiji is a rather calm individual who thinks rationally and is able to quickly get a grasp of his surroundings. This is shown a number of times as he's able to get everyone acquainted with each other upon arriving in the death game, as well as during the various trials and main games. Despite this, he isn't very approachable in the eyes of some of the other candidates, namely Nao and Reiko. It could be because of his background, but it could also be because of how little we actually know about him. He has a hard time trusting himself, let alone others. He tends to beat around the bush a lot of the times and avoids answering anything regarding his past. Although we do get a glimpse of what happened to Keiji during the Russian roulette, there was still a lot of unanswered questions. That said, there's still one person he's willing to trust, and it's none other than Sara. Keiji and Sara's relationship is pretty interesting. It's quite clear that he trusts Sara more than anyone else in the group, and is quick to guide her during discussions. During the Russian roulette trial, Keiji entrusted Sara with the revolver, before vouching for her, because he'd rather have someone determined to save their friend, rather than an amateur with average gun training. Keiji even recognizes the hallucinations Sara was going through, and tried his best to not let them get out of hand, telling her not to end up like Mr. Policeman. But it isn't just this one-sided relationship either, as Sara does rely on Keiji a lot, and often defers to him for advice. We see Keiji go to great lengths to ensure that Sara still has his trust, even asking her if she's willing to die with him. I think the best example of Keiji's influence on Sara was near the end of chapter 3, where she had to fight Midori. This was the first major trial where Keiji wasn't there to guide her. Keiji then returns near the end of the trial and tells her that she's done well holding her own. Despite everything, however, there were a couple instances where their trust was challenged. It's common for Keiji to avoid talking to Sara about his personal life, often beating around the bush or telling her that he trusts her because she's cute. And to understand why he keeps his distance, we need to take a look at his backstory. During the Russian roulette trial, it was odd that Keiji, the person who everyone thought had the most experience with guns, hadn't volunteered to take on the role as the shooter. He explains that he wasn't able to hold a gun ever since he killed someone in the past. Ever since that day, he's felt nothing but confusion, guilt, and sadness. And to make matters worse, his superior, Officer Megumi, chose to cover up the whole incident in order to protect him. More confusion, more guilt, and more sadness. He wanted so badly to be reprimanded for his crime, but he couldn't get the justice he deserved. He left the force. Soon came the first trial. He and Megumi were taken in, and Keiji... This was the past he'd been trying to hide from Sara and the others. If anyone knew what had happened to Megumi, he'd surely be taken out due to a lack of trust. That's why he was so hesitant to give Sara 50 of his tokens when negotiating with So. He didn't know how she would react, or if she'd be willing to trust him anymore. At this point, Sara had garnered the trust of almost everyone in the group, so if they sense that she's feeling uneasy, they won't hesitate to stand by her side. But that's not all. During the second main game, Keiji had lied about his role. He had told Sara that the first trade was made between his keymaster and her commoner, but he was in fact a sage the entire time. Keep in mind that he traded Sara the keymaster with the intention of gaining back her trust, but it seems as though there are things that he wasn't able to tell Sara about. It's possible he did it to protect her and the rest of the group, but it's just as he told Kana, adults with bad intentions are scarier than you can imagine. Keiji and Kyutaro have always seemed to have each other's backs. Although it was a little rough in the beginning, Keiji was able to entrust Kyutaro with Kai's laptop, seeing as he was the most determined to find out the truth about Kai. And while he did get fooled by So, they devised up a plan to get him back later on. When Keiji was trapped in the coffin, He apologized for letting his emotions get the best of him, especially since Kyutaro went out of his way to build a bond with the dummies. It was selfish of him to give in to Midori's intentions. When Kyutaro gets Keiji out of the coffin, Keiji goes along with his plan, but was unaware of Kyutaro's self-sacrifice. I feel like Keiji owes a fair bit to Kyutaro. He was able to give him a second chance. It's pretty clear that Keiji and So haven't had the greatest of relationships. I'd like to believe that his distaste in So began during the first main game, when So was attacking Now, and essentially made everyone out to be his enemy when he broke character. The distance between the two only grew more and more over the course of Chapter 2. He tricked Kana into putting her in his debt, stole Kai's laptop from Kyutaro, and lied about losing his memories, along with wanting to reconcile with Sara. On top of that, he continued to play the villain by taking advantage of the sacrifice and Kyutaro's grief, labeling Keiji and Sara to be accomplices, and devaluing Kana by trying to place all the votes onto her. At this point, Keiji had enough of So's games, and dropped the dreaded title on his ass. We shouldn't need any more discussions. Digging up old conclusions is just gonna make us lost. It's your turn to die, So. That's how it'll end. Despite hating each other, it's not hard to find similarities between the two. Both Keiji and So hid their past from everyone until it was absolutely necessary to reveal it. They both had something they didn't want to admit because it would mean death without a doubt. So is shown to be very good with his words, as he's able to easily shift the focus onto something else. Even the balance battle with Keiji felt like a mirror match, and you could really feel the hostility between the two. So had already gone so far off the deep end that it was almost impossible to regain the trust of others, nor was the group willing to suddenly trust him after what he did. Not to mention, his 0% survival rate means that he was destined to die at some point. It was just a matter of when and how. So knew how important Sara was to everyone else, but he believes that she's putting on a front and lying to everyone about protecting them. If he isn't able to kill Sara directly, the next best approach was to try and kill off Keiji, the person Sara trusted the most. So pressed Keiji in the room of rubble, as well as during the preliminary vote. Keiji, is that video real, or do you deny it? I'm doubting you so we can believe you. I'm sure Keiji will open up his mouth for his dear Miss Sara, expose the true colors he's kept hidden for so long. I'm counting on you. In Keiji's case, it was risky for him to reveal too much about himself, so he chose to keep his distance for the most part. If the others were to find out, he might be in the same situation as So, where no one would trust him. As mentioned earlier, Keiji is also shown to be good with words as well. He's able to guide discussions, as well as dismiss questions that may seem too revealing. He's also not opposed to displaying malice towards others, as seen when he was trying to get everyone to vote for So, in a similar fashion that So was trying to make everyone second-guess Keiji. Another thing worth noting is that Keiji has the third highest survival rate at 9.5%. These two are both leaders in their own right, but I feel that Sara was the deciding factor, whether she chose to trust you or not. Ever since he killed his role model, he'd been questioning whether he should even be alive. Unfortunately, that choice was taken from him when Megumi chose to put the incident under wraps. He wanted some way to repent, someone who was able to give him the punishment he desperately wanted. He thought that by killing his benefactor, that would be his first step towards salvation. But it was the opposite. He was tormented by the ghosts of the people he's killed, and the guilt of being able to walk out, a free man. After revealing his past and being trapped in the coffin, he's gone on record saying he wouldn't blame anyone for voting for him. He wanted to put the blame on someone else, but at the end of the day, he was the one who killed those two. At the same time, he doesn't want to let the kidnappers have their way. This dilemma is a core part of Keiji's character, and it seems like we've only scratched the surface of who he is. Maybe the friendly policeman isn't so friendly after all. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this character analysis on Keiji. Again, this one's a bit different from the ones I did previously because I chose to focus more on his relationships with other characters rather than going step by step as the story progressed. Let me know in the comments if you prefer this sort of style or if you want me to go back to the old style. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and a comment down below, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of these type of videos.